What's up, everybody? Welcome to episode 168 of the Idiotic Sports Talk. I'm your host, Liam Gavin, coming to you live from my dining room. And today I want to give you all the round one recap of the NBA play-in tournament. We'll start with the Tuesday games. There was the Eastern Conference game where the number 8 Hawks, the number 8 seed Atlanta Hawks, beat the number 7 seed Miami Heat. The score was 116-105. The Hawks got the upset. And now the Hawks are the 7th seed in the East. They have a date with the number 2 seed Boston Celtics, which is my favorite team, and that will happen in round one of the playoffs. Their star point guard, Trae Young, he had 25 points, 7 assists, and 8 rebounds. The center, Clint Capella, he only scored 4 points, but he was a monster on the board, recording 21 rebounds. And the Hawks bench stepped up. Saddiq Bey had 17 points. Bogdan Bogdanovic had 14. Onyeke, I think I pronounced it right, Okongwu had 12 points. And Jalen Johnson had 10 points. The Hawks bench was able to combine for 53 points. And the Hawks shot 47% from the field compared to the Heat's 43% from the field. The Hawks did struggle from the three-point range, though. They were 10 out of 41. And they also had trouble at the free throw line, making 16 out of 27 free throws. But the Hawks were great on the boards. They out-rebounded the Heat 63-29. They had 22 offensive rebounds compared to the Heat's 6 offensive rebounds. The Hawks dominated the paint. They had 64 points inside the paint, while the Heat only had 46 points inside of the paint. And the Hawks controlled this game from the tip-off. They had a 36-27 lead after the first quarter. And in the second quarter, the Hawks had a lead as large as 24 points. And by halftime, the Hawks were up 65-50. And in the third quarter, the Heat started to heat up. They were down 69-63 in the middle of the quarter. But the Hawks stayed resilient as they closed the quarter with a 91-78 lead. In the fourth quarter, the Heat could not grab any rebounds, and they could not stop the Hawks from scoring. Jimmy Butler had 27 points with 9 assists, but was 6 of 19 shooting. Tyler Hero had 26 points, and Kyle Lowry turned back the clock with 33 points coming off the bench. The Heat's field goal percentage was 43, and they shot 11 of 34 from the three-point range. And their main problem was getting out-rebounded 63-39. Their center, Bam Adebayo, was nowhere to be found. He was abused in the paint, and their bench only had 37 points, which 33 of those came from Kyle Lowry. And with this loss, the Heat have the 8th seed in the East, and they either face the Raptors or Bulls for that final playoff spot on Friday. The next game is the Western Conference game. Number 7 Lakers beat the number 8 Timberwolves 108-102 in overtime. The Lakers are now the 7th seed. Well, they were the 7th seed, and they still remain the 7th seed out west. And they faced the number 2 seed Memphis Grizzlies in the first round. LeBron James, 30 points, 6 assists, and 10 rebounds, doing LeBron James things. Anthony Davis, 24 points with 15 rebounds. And Dennis Schroeder off the bench with 21 points, a good game for him. The Lakers had a field goal percentage of 41.3%, while the Wolves were 43.4% from field goal. And the Lakers shot 10 of 13 from 3. Meanwhile, the Wolves shot 16 of 41 from 3. And the Lakers were 22 of 24 from the free throw line, while the Wolves were near perfect, 14 of 15 from the free throw line. The Lakers were able to score down the stretch, though, and in overtime, while forcing turnovers against the Timberwolves and playing great defense down the stretch. And after falling behind 11 points at halftime, the Lakers outscored the Timberwolves 59-42 in the second half and in overtime. The Timberwolves were missing their center, Rudy Gobert, and their small forward, Jalen McDaniels, and they paid the price in the paint. The Lakers took advantage of that with 54 points in the paint, while the Wolves had 36 points in the paint. And the Lakers out-rebounded the Wolves 48-37. They grabbed 12 offensive rebounds, while the Wolves only grabbed 4 offensive rebounds. It wasn't an easy win for the Lakers, though. They had to go to overtime against an undermanned Timberwolves team, and they almost gave the game away at the end of the fourth quarter. It's when Dennis Schroeder hits a go-ahead 3 with 1.5 seconds left. Lakers take a 98-95 lead. The next play, the Wolves point guard Mike Conley goes to tie a game with the 3, but he misses, but winds up getting fouled by Anthony Davis. This sends Conley to the line. He shoots 3 free throws. He makes all of them. and he ties the game 98-98, which forces overtime. But in overtime, the Lakers outscored the Wolves 12-4, and they secured the win to advance into the playoffs. And at one point, the Wolves had a 15-point lead late in the third quarter, but couldn't build off it. Many things went wrong for them. The first was not being able to score in the second half. There was a time in the fourth quarter where the Wolves did not make a field goal for 6 whole minutes. That's a lot of time in basketball to not make a field goal. And in the fourth quarter and overtime, the Wolves were outscored 29-16. And the Wolves shooting guard, Anthony Edwards, he's a stud, but he had a really bad game. He struggled shooting. He was 3 of 18 and only put up 9 points. Turnovers also came back to bite the Wolves late in the game. They kept turning the ball over and giving chances to the Lakers, which the Lakers took advantage of. And as I mentioned before, no Gobert, no McDaniels, and it showed us because the Wolves got bullied in the paint and out-rebounded. Karl Anthony Towns had 24 points, 5 assists, and 10 rebounds. Mike Conley had 23 points, and Kyle Anderson had 12 points to go with 13 assists. The Wolves remain as the 8th seed in the West, but they have a date with the Oklahoma City Thunder. In a win or go home game, that'll determine the last playoff spot in the Western Conference. As for the Wednesday games, the Eastern Conference game, the number 10 seed Bulls upset the former 9 seed Raptors 109-105, and now the Bulls are the 9th seed out east. And the Bulls faced the 8th seed Miami Heat on Friday. The Bulls overcame a 19-point deficit to advance to the second round of the play-in. Zach LaVine had 39 points, DeMar DeRozan had 23 points, and Nikola Vucevic had 14 points with 13 rebounds. The Bulls shot 7 of 26 from 3, but they had a 48.8% field goal percentage, along with going 18 of 22 from the free throw line. And the Bulls were out-rebounded 50-36. The Raptors had 16 offensive rebounds, while the Bulls only had 8 rebounds, but they still dominated the paint when it came to scoring, 52 paint points compared to the Raptors' 40. And the Bulls were great defensively. They had 10 blocks and 9 steals, while the Raptors only had 5 blocks with 5 steals. The Raptors also had no answers for Zach LaVine, especially in that second half. LaVine put up 28 points in that half, and the Raptors' field goal percentage was 43.7, but they were horrible from 3. They made 11 out of 31 three-pointers, and their free throws was their enemy. They basically lost the game because they couldn't make any free throws to save their lives. They went 18 of 36, and you have to thank DeMar DeRozan's daughter. She's the real MVP. She kept screaming every time the Raptors would shoot a free throw. It was like this bludgeoning murder scream, but it worked. Clearly, DeRozan tactics works because the Raptors were horrible from the free throw line. And with this loss, the Raptors finished 10th in the East and are sent home. The head coach, Nick Nurse, could be on the hot seat. Players like Pascal Siakam, Fred VanVleet, and OG Anunoby might be packing their bags from Toronto to play elsewhere. Siakam finished with 32 points, 6 assists, and 9 rebounds. Fred VanVleet had 26 points, 8 assists, and 12 rebounds. And Scotty Barnes, 19 points with 10 rebounds. The last play-in game, which was out west, was the number 10 seed Oklahoma City Thunder beating the number 9 seed New Orleans Pelicans. They won 123-118 in a back-and-forth game with a lot of action. The Thunder become the new 9 seed out west and will face the number 8 seed Timberwolves for that final playoff spot on Friday. And Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, 32 points. Josh Giddey, 31 points with 10 assists and 9 rebounds. Lou Dort with 27 points. And the young Thunder tandem of SGA and Giddey, they went off. They combined for 63 points. The Thunder have a field goal percentage of 45.7% even though despite they shot 11 of 37 from 3, they were able to avoid turnovers. They only had 7 turnovers while the Pelicans had 11. Their defense stepped up, 5 blocks and 7 steals, while the Pelicans had 4 blocks and 5 steals. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, he took over this game, especially late in the game, by making clutch free throws and clutch shots, which gave his team the win. And this Oklahoma City Thunder team, they're young, they're hungry, and they're really fun to watch. It'd be cool to see them go on a run. The Pelicans lost a really close game where they had chances to win. They had the better field goal percentage with 48.3 and also out-rebounded the Thunder 48-38. Unfortunately, missed shots and turnovers in the second half came back to haunt them. One of their leaders, the point guard, CJ McCollum, he was nowhere to be found. He shot 5 of 14 with 14 points. Brandon Ingram finished with 30 points, 7 assists, and 6 rebounds. Trey Murphy III, 21 points. Herb Jones had 20 points, and Jonas Valanciunas had 16 points along with 18 rebounds. As for the Pelicans, they have a huge decision to make this summer, with including their star player Zion Williamson. Zion's absence due to injuries has really hurt this team for the last 4 years by playing only 114 games out of 328. There have been rumors floating around that Zion's just unhappy with the Pelicans and doesn't want to play for that franchise, doesn't want to play in a city like New Orleans, and which is a shame because with Zion, the Pelicans are a championship contender. We saw that earlier this season when the Pelicans had the 1 seed out west for quite some time. Zion went down, and we saw that without Zion, the Pelicans are barely a playoff team. The Pelicans finished 10th in the West, and their season comes to an end. They pack their bags. So that was it for my round 1 recap about the NBA play-in tournament. Thank you all for listening. Make sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel. Follow me on my Instagram. Take care. Have a wonderful night.